In the aftermath of being arrested at a fitness club, the question arises, is 34-year-old Eric Stagno a weirdo, or is he someone who is representative of the Joker's worldview?
See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
So Eric Stagno of Haverhill, Massachusetts, decided to drop by his friendly neighborhood Planet Fitness franchise. He went into the locker room, took off his street clothes, and emerged into the yoga studio completely naked. Oops, surely a mistake. His mind was elsewhere, perhaps, and he forgot to throw on his gym attire in order to do the whole downward doggy thingy. But no, as commotion regarding Stagno clad only in his birthday suit erupted, it soon became clearly apparent that this was no mistake, but completely premeditated. You see, Stagno pointed to the marketing slogan of Planet Fitness, which is to say this gym is a, quote, judgment-free zone, end quote. And apparently he had no issue at all with people who might want to judge his private parts. Alas and alack, looks like there's judgment galore when it comes to naked dudes in a co-ed fitness facility when it comes to the display of wedding tackle. The police were soon called, and poor Mr. Stagno was charged with indecent exposure, lewdness, and disorderly conduct. But really, was he deserving of such a legalistic smackdown? For where, oh where were the usual suspects who chant the de rigueur mantras of, who are we to say what is right and wrong, and who are we to be judgmental whenever anything traditional in society gets inserted into the politically correct paper shredder? We see this especially when it comes to transgender issues. Remember the outrage that erupted last year when Jai Qing Wilson Yang, a man transitioning into a woman, visited a Toronto women's spa, Body Bliss, and was told that he or she wasn't welcome there? Oh, how the cries of discrimination immediately reverberated throughout the mean streets of Hogtown, and poor Body Bliss enduring those screams of transphobia, even though the majority of the spa's women patrons were reportedly horrified by the impromptu sausage fest that had taken place near the hot tub. But those gals were clearly bigots. Heck, even the then NDP member of provincial parliament for Hyde Park, Sherry DeNovo, released a statement criticizing the spa for what she described as blatant transphobia and a violation of the Ontario Human Rights Code. And hey, let us also never forget the precedent-setting legal verdict of Gwen Jacob. Gwen was charged with committing an indecent act for taking off her top on a hot summer day in Guelph, Ontario in 1991, but in 1995, a court overturned her conviction, clearing the way for women to go topless in public. As an aside, I haven't seen the Ontario Sisterhood embrace their topless rights in the 23-year period since scoring a victory for mammary gland freedom. But I digress. Then again, Gwen Jacob did tell the CBC, quote, there's a huge lag between what gets legalized and what gets normalized, end quote. So perhaps we need a few more years or decades to pass before women in Ontario will finally embrace their newfound charter rights by turning this province into a Russ Meyer movie set. All of which brings me back to poor Mr. Stagno. If we can all go topless in public in certain jurisdictions, is it not high time, since this is 2018 after all, to go bottomless as well? It's not as far-fetched as you may think, folks. Last month in Toronto, no nudists were arrested for displaying their bits and pieces during something called the Naked Bike Ride. Indeed, far from being arrested for public indecency, Toronto's finest actually gave these dudes a police escort, all of which is to say that I remain thoroughly and utterly confused. So perhaps in the here and now, Eric Stagno will be painted as a pervert, but give this mindset a few more years, folks. For me, thinks Mr. Stagno will one day be celebrated, at least by the usual suspects on the progressive side, as a visionary Even though, to be quite frank, most normal people now and in the future, I suspect, really don't want to envision his junk. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel has a new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.